NBA 2K rating stock watch time. We're going to recap the NBA and break down what players should be going up or down in rating. I'm your host, the Real 2K Insider. We're breaking down games from October 25th, 2021, day 7 of the NBA season. We have 9 games and a lot of in-game developments, so let's start with the Celtics, who beat the Hornets in overtime, 140 to 129. The Celtics held the Hornets scoreless over the last 2 minutes of overtime, so Hornets may have ran out of gas a little bit in this game, but nevertheless, Celtics. Al Horford did not play, so Dennis Schroeder, he started with Jason Tatum bumping up to power forward. Schroeder, for his part, had 23 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, hit 4 threes. Do not be surprised if he becomes a permanent fixture of the starting lineup. He's been averaging 16 points in his 2 starts. And Marcus Smart has continued to struggle. He had 7 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. So he's somebody who might either slide over the 2 guard or hit the bench, depending on how well Schroeder plays. He's kind of the X factor for the team. Tatum, he had 41 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. He sucked in the opener, but after that, he's been great. He's averaging 27.5 points per game, which would be his career high. Jaylen Brown, he also has been a little up and down. He had 9 points in his last game and 46 in the opener, but he had 30 tonight. So he's averaging 28, which likewise would also be his career high. Robert Williams, 12 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, 36 minutes. He's got the green light for minutes this year. Has really struggled to take the court in his first 2 years, but is going to play probably double the amount of minutes per game that he did in his first 2 seasons this year. So his rating should probably be going through the roof. He's probably the 3rd or 4th best guy on the team. Ditto for Al Horford. I would think most of these guys, or both of these guys, I should say, should have a higher rating than Marcus Smart in the early going. Jabari Parker, he made his season debut with 13 points and 5 rebounds. He was 5 of 8 from the field, 3 of 4 on threes in 17 minutes. He got some minutes in Horford's absence, and he was the backup center tonight, which is, he came into the league as a small forward, but obviously this is the direction the league is taking, so pretty interesting to see whether or not that continues. Enes Kanter has barely played this year, and he's got a really high rating that certainly should drop, as it's not reflective of the role that he's got on the team. And I'm a little curious as to why they signed him in the first place, if they are going to be using Jabari Parker at center on nights where Al Horford's out. But nevertheless, let's check out the Hornets, who dropped to 3-1. Miles Bridges, 25 points, 10 rebounds. Where is he? 25 points, 10 rebounds, 11 of 22 from the field. Only 2 of 10 from 3 in this game, and 1 of 1 from the line, so it didn't really get to the line. He was the Eastern Conference Player of the Week, and I'm going to have a video featuring his ratings coming up soon, in the next 24 hours, I would say. LaMelo Ball, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, 7 of 14 from the three-point line, but he did have 6 fouls, or 6 turnovers, and he fouled out of this game. But he's been awesome this year, and I think 84 is probably, like, I would have thought that 84, based on his rookie season, was a little generous. Now it looks like he's certainly worth that, and maybe should be trickling up like a point or 2, based on how he's playing, as the Hornets look like a legit playoff team. Kelly Oubre, he filled in once again for Terry Rozier, and he had 19 points, 9 rebounds, hit 5 threes. P.J. Washington did not play. He was out. So Nick Richards, he got the most meaningful minutes of his career, has 7 points, 3 rebounds, 3 blocks, 3 of 4 from the field in only 13 minutes. Let's check out the Bucks. Brook Lopez did not play for the 3rd straight game. Bobby Portis is yet to debut. So Giannis got another start at center. George Hill started for Drew Holiday, and Thanasis Antetokounmpo, he started rather than Pat Connaughton, which allowed Chris Middleton to play small forward, which is his normal position. As when they start Connaughton, Middleton is shifting up, and he'd been struggling with his shot a bit prior to this, so that hopefully got Middleton going. He had 27 points, 7 assists in this one, 9 of 17 from the field. And Giannis, 30, 10, and 9, 10 of 18 from the field, 10 of 13 on free throws. the usual for the MVP caliber guy. Grayson Allen had his best game as a Buck with 19 points and 4 threes. And Thanasis, he had 8 points. Feels like he's going to be in the rotation over Semi Ojeleye, who's still sidelined. And Rodney Hood made his season debut for what it's worth. So I'd like to see Thanasis have his rating go up. Probably can at least equal Ojeleye at the very least. And, I mean, some of the other guys, Noir and Connington, we've already covered that they should be going up in rating, although they didn't do much in this game. Let's check out the Pacers, who they've had some really tough games. They dropped to 1-3, but all of their games have been pretty interesting and a solid fight. Malcolm Brogdon, he had 25 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 10 of 21 from the field. He's averaging 25, 8, and 8. All of those are career highs, so his rating should be way up. Only an 82. That's way too low. Should probably be around 85, 86, around the Sabonis, where Sabonis is at. Sabonis had 21, 13, and 5, 8 of 13 from the field. It's kind of a standard night for him. And Chris Duarte, all the way down here, continuing to start and play heavy minutes. He had 18 points and 5 rebounds, 7 of 16 from the field, 2 threes. Only 33 minutes, but he'd been averaging 40 prior to this, so that drops his averages to, well, he's still averaging 20 points, and he's averaging now 38 minutes per game. Obviously should not have a rating comparable to third stringers or a guy who's not even in the rotation over here. Yeah, so I've mentioned that, and pretty much every time I've covered the Pacers, he's way too low. Miles Turner, weird night for him the last couple of games. 5 points in only 14 minutes, another disappearing act. Take away his career 40-point game, and he's only averaging 6 points per game, so the Pacers have got to get him figured out. And he might be in Rick Carlisle's doghouse because Goga Bitadze, he made his season debut in this game. He had 7 points and 9 rebounds, only shot 2 of 8 from the field, and had 5 fouls in 18 minutes. So I wouldn't say he was terribly effective, but he played more minutes in this game than Turner, and Turner did not appear to be in any foul trouble. So I think Carlisle is sending a message. That's what I take away from Bitadze playing that much. Either that or there's an injury that we don't know about, you know. Let's check out the Hawks, who easily blew out the Pistons 122-104. Trae Young, 32 and 9, only 2 turnovers, 13 and 21 from the field, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. So his free throws are a little bit down, but not struggling nearly as much as, say, like a James Harden, who we'll get to later. John Collins, 22 and 7, standard game for him. Kevin Huerter started for Deandre Hunter. He had 14 points. Hunter was sick. He's not injured or anything, so he should be back for the next one. And Cam Reddish, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, 3 threes. He's still averaging 19 off the bench. Obviously, his rating should be up. Probably should have a higher rating than Huerter in the early going, or at least boost both these guys. I'd be comfortable with both these guys at like 78, 79, just a tick under Bogdanovich and Hunter, who were the starters. The Hawks have crazy depth. Let's check out the Pistons, who do not have crazy depth. Jeremy Grant was out, so the Pistons really had no chance in this game. Kelly Olynyk, he started in his place and had 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Josh Jackson started for Frank Jackson, who had been struggling prior to this, and Josh Jackson, I should say, had 18, 6, and 4. So they'll probably run that lineup back with Cade Cunningham is still out for one more game before he theoretically makes his season debut on October 30th. Sadiq Bey, he's been the best Piston so far this season, though that isn't really saying a ton. He had 21 points and 7 rebounds, had a career high 16 rebounds in the previous game. Isaiah Stewart, he had 13, 7, and 5, 3 blocks. The 5 assists were a career high, and Killian Hayes had his best game of the year, which isn't really saying much. He had 12 points. He had 2 total in the first 2 games. So I don't know. I'm very low on Hayes to begin with, but you know, if he's going to be starting playing minutes, I guess boost him up. He should have higher, maybe a rating equal to Rodney Magruder. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not high on him or anything. But let's go to the Nets, who I referenced before with the James Harden thing. Bruce Brown, he got his first start of the year. He did not play in the first 2 games. So Javon Carter, he moved back to the bench. Blake Griffin, he started at center, where's Blake Griffin? There we go. Moving Nick Claxton to the bench. Griffin only had 2 points and 9 rebounds, 1 of 7 shooting, so I'm marking him down as a drop candidate. He hasn't really playing like a 78. Claxton, he only had 6 points and 8 rebounds. Well, I guess actually, I'm sorry, 6 points and 8 rebounds in only 16 minutes is fine. But LaMarcus Aldridge, he sat this one out. Paul Millsap, he only played 9 minutes. He's only averaging 10 minutes per game, so I recommend that Millsap have his rating drop. The Nets have too many bodies in the front court, and it seems like nobody can get any traction as a result. Steve Nash did a good job managing players last season. The stacked team might be presenting some extra challenges, and it's worth noting that the Nets' best lineups all came with them being small ball, so them adding all these older front court players is kind of throwing a wrench into their plans. They played really well with Bruce Brown on the court next to Durant, so we'll see. Kevin Durant, quiet game by his standards, 25, 8, and 4. Joe Harris, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 3 of 12 from the field. He's been struggling with his shot out of the gate. Only 34% after shooting 51% last season, so maybe not getting the looks that he got last season with Kyrie out. So I recommend dropping him a point or two until he can get it going. James Harden is playing nowhere near a 94 overall rating. He had 14, 6, and 9 in this game. 5 of 17 from the field, 1 of 8 from 3, 3 of 3 from the line. I've been touching on his free throw rate after every game, and I crunched the numbers. Free throw attempts are down league-wide by 16%. Harden is down by 56%. So I don't think this is all the new rules. Last season was quietly the second lowest foul draw season of his career. He doesn't have the same burst that he did 2 to 3 years ago when he was with the Rockets. And he relies heavily on his burst to gain advantages. He is returning from injury last season and didn't play a ton of basketball during the offseason. As a result, he just focused on his rehab. But it's pretty clear from watching him, he's still not 100% healthy. And there have been a couple articles published in the last couple games. I'll post the links in the description for you guys to check them out. But a couple articles that broke down why Harden is struggling, and he's not getting to the rim is the primary reason. He's settling for a lot more floaters, and part of that is, you can blame it on the spacing. Like Kyrie Irving is out of the lineup, and that wasn't the case last year. So Bruce Brown and Javon Carter, they are not the same. They don't have the same gravity. So defenses are able to key in on Harden a little bit. He's a step slow because he's out of shape and unhealthy. And then also the new rules. So I think the new rules are only like a minimal factor, and I dropped his draw foul rating. If we did that, his 98 draw foul, he would deserve something like a 50, I think, by rate. So if we do that, yeah, he loses 2 points off of his overall just from that alone. Obviously, he also has a bunch of badges tied to his finishing ability. He's one of the best. He's probably the best foul drawing two guard in NBA history. In fact, I say probably. He's definitely the best foul drawing two guard in NBA history. So certainly, if he's not playing like the Hall of Fame fearless finisher that he normally is, so if we dropped that, he would lose a lot off his rating also. But yeah. Anyway, I've harped enough on that. Let's get to the rest of the team. Patty Mills, 21 points, 5 of 9 on threes. Scorching hot. Really the only guard who can get things going offensively on this team. He's done an admirable job filling in for Kyrie thus far. He's shooting 53% from the field, 64% from three. This game dropped him from 69%. So 5 of 9 on threes actually dropped his shooting percentage. That's how crazy good he's been. Clearly, he should have a higher rating than Paul Millsap, who's barely playing for the team, Blake Griffin, who's struggling with his shot, LaMarcus Aldridge, who's been erratic, Joe Harris, who's been shooting it way worse. So Patty Mills having some steady offensive firepower off the Nets bench to make up for the fact that James Harden has been struggling and Kyrie has been out. Let's get to the Wizards, who I did not mention, but the Nets beat them 104-90. The entire Wizards team struggled Really, the backcourt especially. Bradley Beal, 19 points, 8 of 22 from the field, 3 of 13 from 3. Spencer Dinwiddie, 10 points, 6 assists, 3 of 10 from the field against his former team. And also Kyle Kuzma at the 3. He had 6 points, 13 rebounds, but 3 of 11 from the field. The team as a whole shot 35%, 23% from 3. So I'm just going to consider this an off night for them and not read a ton into it. But let's check out the Heat, who beat the Magic 107-90. Jimmy Butler had his best game of the year with 36 points and 5 steals, 15 and 21 from the field. Did not attempt a 3 and was 6 of 6 from the line. Bam, 16 and 13, pretty standard game for him. Kyle Lowry returned from injury, had 9 points and 8 assists. Only 2 games, but it seems probable that his scoring output will be worse than last season, so I would recommend dropping him like a point or 2. Markeith Morris, he had his best game as a member of the Heat, 16 points on 7 of 11 shooting. 72 is probably way too low for him when you look at some of the other guys he shares that rating with. Tyler Hero, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, 5 of 12 from the field. Cook cooled off with his shot, but the 9 assists are a great sign after seeing 0 in his last one. Gabe Vincent was out of the rotation in this one. So it looks like Hero picked up point guard responsibilities as he was basically their point guard in any lineup where Kyle Lowry was out of the lineup. So we might be changing his position before too long. We'll see. That's something I've got my eye on. But let's go to the Magic, who they were playing a back-to-back. So and they had a pretty tough game in the last one. So it stands that they would struggle on the second half of a back-to-back. Cole Anthony, he had 12 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Pretty good rebounder for a guard. Had a career-high 16 in the last game. So if nothing else, that's an attribute that certainly needs to go up for him. It probably wouldn't affect his rating too much, but needless to say, every little bit helps. Jalen Suggs, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 threes, but 5 turnovers and 5 fouls. He's been a little erratic. Some rookie growing pains so far. Franz Wagner, he had 15 points. He's averaging 13 and is locked in as a starter. As a result, I highly recommend starting him. Chuma Okeke has yet to play in 4 games and is not sidelined by 2K, I realize. So I think I'd like to see Wagner with a higher rating than him. Ditto for like Robin Lopez. And Mo Bamba's also been playing well. You could say his rating should be going up too. Wendell Carter Jr., kind of subpar game for him, 9 points, 9 rebounds. But worth noting that he was 1 for 5 on threes, career high in 3-point attempts. He is playing the 4 for the team right now. It remains to be seen whether or not that'll be the case once Isaac and even Okeke come back. But Terence Ross, where is the boss? Oh, he's all the way up here. Okay. He had 0 points in this one, 0 for 7 from the field, 0 for 6 on 3. He torched the Knicks in the 4th quarter last game, but clearly couldn't get it. It didn't translate to this one, and that really ended up being the difference here as the Magic only scored 90, struggled to score. Gary Harris, he made his season debut, had 2 points in 19 minutes off the bench. His rating's a little low, but worth noting that he came off the bench with Jalen Suggs continuing to start. They are in a youth movement in Orlando, but if Suggs continues to showcase erratic play, I think it would make sense to move the steadier 3-and-D Harris into the lineup and have Suggs operate as the backup point guard. RJ Hampton, he was solid also with 12 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, his best game of the year. Now let's check out the Bulls, who moved up to 4-0 on the season. It's their first time with a 4-0 record in about 20 years. Last time they were 4-0, the team won 69 games. I'm not going to go that far on them, but, they are certainly outplaying expectations. I think people expected them to be like a 500 team. So their defense has been a lot better than expected. That's kind of been the leading catalyst. We've been anticipating that offensively, we knew how these guys, we had Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nick Vucevic. Those guys are all known as offensive players. Although Zach LaVine quietly improved as a defensive player and nobody really noticed besides the hardcore analytics guys. But Nick Vucevic, he has been defending really well, at least if you look at his defensive counting stats. 17 points, 8 rebounds. He had 3 steals. He's averaging 2.2 steals a game, which is more than double his career rate of 0.9. So certainly he's never going to be a great shot blocker, but if he's able to strip guys in the paint before they go up for shots, it's kind of the same thing as a block, right? Lonzo Ball, 15 points, 5 assists, 5 threes. Zach LaVine had 22, 4, and 5. DeMar DeRozan had 26, 4, and 6. So offensively, the team is clicking. And the Raptors, they've had some tough luck. They just really have been just barely not enough offense in order for them to get a couple wins. They defended the Bulls pretty well in this one, but Chicago was clutch from the free throw line, 21 of 22, 95%. And they won this game by 4 points. So that's essentially, the Raptors did everything that they could for the most part. OG Anunoby, 22 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 threes. Playing better after subpar first 2 games. Fred VanVleet, 15 points, a career high, 17 assists. Point guard, hello, Gary Trent. Continued to start. He had 18 points. Scotty Barnes, 13 points, 6 of 8 from the field, but 6 turnovers. So not a great game for him. He is, of course, a rookie. He's going to have games like that from time to time. Precious Achiuwa, he had 11 points and 11 rebounds. There he is, still with a lower rating than Khem Birch, even though he's the starter. And Khem Birch, to his credit, did have 11 points off the bench in this one, his best game of the season. Let's check out the Pels, who beat the Wolves 107-98 to get their first win of the year. Brandon Ingram, 27 points, 9 rebounds, 11 of 21 from the field, 4 of 7 on threes. He's the Chris Middleton of the Western Conference, averaging a career-high 27 points per game, so I think his ratings should be up. Jonas Valanciunas, 22 points, 23 rebounds, first 2020 game with the Pelicans, 4th of his career. He's averaging 15 rebounds. Shoot his rating up too while you're at it. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he's been the starter, so yeah, shoot his rating up as well. 17, 7, and 3 in this one. Devontae Graham has been solid, 21 points, 7 assists. Sure, shoot his rating up. Just because the team is losing doesn't mean that the players on them are bad by any stretch. They don't have a lot of depth. And they're missing their superstar. Herb Jones, I almost called him Herb Williams. He had 0 points in 32 minutes. Certainly he's no Zion Williamson. He's a glue guy, though, a la PJ Tucker. And the other guys in the lineup are eating, so look for them to continue to stick with him with the starters in the meantime. And as long as he is starting, he should have a higher rating than a 70 compared to some of the other guys who are clinging to the roster. Clearly, he's got a stable role, more so than Willie Hernan-Gomez is barely playing. Najee Marshall only played 10 minutes in this one, and he was essentially Herb Jones' backup in this one at the 4. So, yeah, let's go to Minnesota, who picked up their first loss of the year. Karl Towns, 32, 14, and 7 with 4 threes. He should get back to the All-Star game this year. Anthony Edwards, 28 points, 9 rebounds, 4 threes. He is better than D'Angelo Russell. Book it, taking a major leap as a sophomore. D'Angelo Russell, 9 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 for 14 from the field. Drop his ass. Pat Beverly, 13 points, 4 or 5 from the field, 20 minutes, had a dust-up with Jonas Valanciunas during the game. Do not be surprised when his minutes rise, as Russell has been playing like garbage and he's nowhere near the defensive player that Beverly is, and they probably need that with the starting unit. Malik Beasley, where's the bees? 5 points, 1 of 8 from the field. Coming off the bench this year, Ant casts a large shadow. He's averaging 20. Last year, he averaged 20 points in 33 minutes per game. He's down to 7 points per game right now, so clearly nowhere near the level of impact of Ant. Drop him. Let's go to the Cavs, who upset the Nuggets 99-87. Jarrett Allen had 21 points, 16 rebounds, was 10 for 11 from the field. He's shooting an unfathomable 84% from the field. He's not just a lobber either. He's been developing his inside game. He had a couple hook shots in this one. Kevin Love, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 8 of 13 from the field. Has been playing well in his bench role, consistently outplaying Lauri Markkanen. The vet leadership off the bench between him and Rubio should make the difference in the win column, and this team might actually push for a playoff spot and at least be involved in the play-in. The most important stat for Kevin Love is his games played. I think he only played 20 last year, and obviously hasn't been able to stay healthy in the years prior to that. So hopefully a bench role and limited minutes will help him with that a little bit. But certainly a per minute monster. And he was effective last year when he in the few games that he did take the court. So I think he should definitely have a higher rating than Markeith, who if you guys have been watching keeping up with my videos, I've been very low on him this year. He's been starting at the 3. I guess he's been better than what they got out of Isaac Okoro at the 3 last year, but not by a huge margin or anything. He had 12 points in this one. He did have 4 steals and also a poster dunk on the Joker. Maybe that gets him fired up and gets him going, but other than that, he was 4 of 12 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3, and they're relying on him for his shooting, and his shot is just not dropping. So, Darius Garland, he returned from injury. He had 9 points and 7 assists. That sent Ricky Rubio back to the bench, 7 points and 8 assists for him. So between the two of them, the Cavs get to have a functional point guard for 48 minutes this year, something that they haven't been able to say in a few years. I do not count Matthew Dellavedova as a functional point guard. And last season, around this time, they were playing Jetty Osman and Damian Dotson at point guard. And neither of those guys are obviously point guards either way. It would be a stretch to even call Osman like a point forward or anything. Heading over to Denver, the Joker, 24, 19, and 3, had 3 steals. His usual MVP stuff, but he was the only one who could get it going tonight. MPJ has been an absolute ghost this year. 11 points on 4 of 14 shooting. He's only averaging 11 points in 3 games. They need him to be the second star, especially after he got a max extension. They're going to slip this year if he can't get it going. Joker can't do it all in Murray's absence. They need something out of Michael Porter. And let's finish off with the Clippers and Blazers. Clippers blew out the Blazers 116-86. The starters struggled, but they were carried by their bench in this one. Luke Kennard had 23 points, 8 of 10 from the field, 6 of 7 from 3. Terrence Mann, 13, 5 and 5, 4 steals, 5 of 6 from the field. Isaiah Hartenstein had 10 points on 4 of 4 shooting. Paul George, 16 points, a career high 8 steals. So even though his shot wasn't really falling, he was able to get it going defensively and maybe open things up on the break for the other guys. Reggie Jackson, 18 points, 4 assists, but he was 6 of 20 from the field, 3 of 15 from 3. He's been struggling with his shot since the beginning of the year. Nick Batum, he started for Markeith Morris, but he was quiet with 2 points. And let's finish off with the Blazers. The Clippers' defense was too much, way too much. They had 30 turnovers in this game and shot 22% from 3, which 30 turnovers is nuts. Dame Lillard, he had 12 points, 4 of 15 shooting, 0 for 8 from 3. I gotta recommend dropping his rating. And worth noting, the only coach he's ever had prior to this was Terry Stotts, so maybe the grass isn't always greener. I know that a lot of the role players on the team have been saying a lot of great things about Billups, but Lillard, his shots just need to drop. He's only averaging 17 points per game, was averaging 29 last year. The team could miss the playoffs if he doesn't get it going. The margin in the Western Conference is going to be razor thin when you juxtapose what Lillard has been doing this year against what Steph Curry has been doing this year. It's no question that you got to drop Dame's rating. CJ McCollum has been outplaying him for much of the year. He's been the best Blazer, 20 points for him in this one. Nasir Little, he started for Norman Powell, who's out with a knee injury. Tony Snell is also out, has missed the entire preseason and has yet to play in the regular season, but don't hold your breath waiting for 2K to realize that. It's not like it's their job to update the roster every day or anything like that. But Little, he had 10 points. And again, he had been playing well. He'd been erratic in his first couple years, so it looks like he's making major strides in his third. And Anthony Simons, ditto for him. He played shooting guard in this run rather than the point, with Little starting, as somebody had to fill the void on the wing. So that pushed Dennis Smith Jr. into the rotation, and he responded with 7 points, 3 assists, and 3 steals. So that is worth noting. If someone like Ben McLemore struggles, then that'll mean that Simons will probably be the permanent backup 2, with Smith moving in as the primary backup to Dame. Some minor transaction notes. Let's see if 2K accounted for it yet. The Magic signed former Warrior Michael Mulder to a 2-way deal. The Magic don't have a ton of three-point shooting on this team, certainly not in the backcourt. Most of their shooters are actually in the front court, so they need all the shooting they can get, so Mulder will help provide that. And also, Quinn Cook, formerly of the... he was cut by the Blazers in camp. He's played for the Warriors, Lakers, etc. Won a title with the Lakers in 2000, but he signed in Russia, so probably the last we're going to see of him in the NBA, unfortunately, as he is 28, and typically once guys leave the league at that age, they rarely make it back, so good luck to him overseas. But anyway, that wraps things up. If you have any feedback on this video, agree or disagree with any of the assessments, think I'm missing out on somebody who needs to go up or down in rating, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.